I'm Rick Kaler. Thanks for joining me. If we all acted purely on logic, coffee shops would be out of business. Is that likely to happen? No, not anytime soon. I certainly wouldn't bet my latte on it. But let me tell you why. Using the numbers from my own favorite brew, a cappuccino with oat milk costs around $5.50 at a coffee shop in my town. Now it's almost double that when I travel to large cities or especially airports. Multiplied by 7, that's $38.50 a week. Now, since no one goes to a coffee shop every day of the year, let's round that down to 44 weeks or 308 days out of the year. That's still $1,694 a year spent on coffee. Now, based purely on the numbers, it would make sense instead for someone to spend $1,060 on a Breville Barista Touch coffee maker. It's a semi-automatic machine. It's nice enough to make great cappuccinos, but not so pricey that it feels like a midlife crisis. After that one-time cost, each cappuccino made at home would cost about $1.50. That covers the coffee beans, the oat milk, and a little self-satisfaction. Over those same 308 days, you'd spend $462, which means you'd save $1,232 a year. Over 5 years, you're looking at $6,160 in savings. That's $5,100 total if you subtract the cost of the coffee maker. That's a pretty nice chunk of change. If logic were in charge here, every coffee lover would be saving cash by drinking at home. Now, here's some of the major reasons why we don't. The first is status quo bias. Many people are regulars at the same coffee shop. The barista knows their name, starts their order when they walk in the door. Even knowing the financial benefits, it wouldn't be easy to change that comfortable routine. Then there's instant gratification. I want my coffee now. Making a cappuccino at home takes a little effort. You got to grind the beans, you got to steam the milk, you got to clean up afterwards. It's a whole process. Going to the coffee shop feels easier and faster, even if the process of going to the cafe, waiting in line, and waiting for your order might actually take longer. Then there's emotional attachment. A daily visit to a coffee shop is not just about the coffee. It's a ritual, a moment of indulgence that feels like a treat. It's acting on what I call the "I deserve this" money script, which is deeply tied to how we emotionally justify spending. No amount of financial logic can compete with the warm feeling of treating yourself. And then there's loss aversion. Even though the math shows over $1,000 coffee maker would pay for itself in less than a year, shelling out that much all at once feels like a punch in the gut. We feel the pain of a big purchase a lot more than the pleasure of long-term savings. And that's not to mention that nearly half of Americans would rather, or actually would have to borrow, not rather, they would have to borrow or sell something to come up with that $1,000. Continuing to pay $5.50 today while leaving the issue of future savings for another day feels like the easier and less expensive choice. So if our coffee buying choices were about logic, there would be many more espresso machines in our kitchens and many fewer coffee shops in our neighborhoods. But 90% of financial decisions are not about logic. They're about the comfort of our routines, the instant gratification, and the emotional tug of a regular small indulgence. There are plenty of reasons that coffee shops will remain in business. Despite the math that shows the obvious financial benefits of making your own cappuccino at home, we're just not wired to always make the logical choice. That's why, regardless of the numbers, so many coffee drinkers will still be at their favorite cafe tomorrow. I might even be among them. Because while I do have a Breville Barista Touch at home and I use it regularly, I also go to a coffee shop a couple times a week. Thanks for listening.